Hi guys, welcome back to the BoTalks with Big Jim podcast.
Today on BoTalks with Big Jim, we learn about the man with many names. For years, he pretended to be someone else, a monk, a dean of philosophy, a prison warden, and even a surgeon. So if you're ready to listen, we're ready to tell you and talk to you about Ferdinand DeMara Jr., the Great Impostor. Hey everybody, just as a friendly reminder, please be sure to check out the Anchor app. The Anchor app is totally free. It's how you can create a podcast. As a matter of fact, that's how I'm creating my podcast. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And the cool thing about Anchor is that it'll distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard everywhere, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, and hundreds of more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one little place. It's real simple, kind of drag and drop little things. You can edit your audio. You could do sponsorships. Hey, like how I'm doing right now, look at that. So, if you're interested in making your own podcast, please be sure to download the Anchor app on the Google Play Store or on the App Store. And if those don't work for you, then I suggest you go over to anchor.fm and get started on your podcast today. Please continue what you were saying, Jim. Okay, there it goes. All right. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. It's a little hot today. Or it's just humid. Maybe it's just in my room, but it's uncomfortable
No,
today.
it's humid everywhere.
Is it?
It's hella hot over here. It's not it's not hot, but it's definitely humid.
Yeah, it's either hot or windy where you live. Always.
Windy as fuck.
Yep.
It's hella windy over here. All right. Well, do you remember the gentleman that we were going to talk about?
I remember who you were telling me about, but I got him mixed up with the other guy from that movie, Catch Me If You Can.
That's
Frank.
what a lot of people actually...
I thought it was him, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go watch the movie. And I was like, oh, none of this seems like the early 20s.
No, that is actually... This is a very similar. This person is very, very similar, but I believe he did everything prior to that Catch Me If You Can guy. By the way, I've never seen the movie.
Well, the original one with Tony Curtis was pretty good. Now that I know who I'm talking about, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The one with Tony Curtis is this movie, is the guy that we're talking about today.
I know that now.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it was Leonardo DiCaprio and
Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, yeah.
Yeah,
it wasn't
no.
even close.
The Great Impostor. That's who we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He looks like a Three Stooges.
Exactly. Yeah, Curly.
Or a family member.
Or one of our, yeah. Ferdinand DeMara Jr., born December 21st, 1921 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. We're going to refer to this guy as Fred because Ferdinand to me is just too much.
Yeah, I think of the bull.
Yeah, exactly.
So Freddie's fine.
Fred. So he grew up in a very well-off Catholic household. His dad was a film operator, so he operated the camera. So he, again, very well off. They were rich, or maybe not rich, but they were well off.
For the 20s, they were doing very well.
They were doing great until what happened in the 20s?
What happened with the
Come on, Dad. You learned this in high school.
Yeah, I know. Not the Roaring 20s. Well, I guess so. The Speakeasy, whatchamacallit, the other movie.
Come on, dog.
I want to say depression, but I guess there was kind of depression.
That's exactly what it is. The Great Depression happened, so everyone who owed debt and owed money lost all of their stuff, especially those who were well off.
No, I was thinking of the other thing with Kevin Costner, The Untouchables.
Oh, the Prohibition.
Prohibition, yeah. Well, that could have led him into depression also, but either way.
I'm sure it did.
But yeah, it was a depression.
So he found
in between the
himself
world wars.
in a Catholic household, now a part of the Great Depression. People having to spend money on, or try to get money back that they had spent money on, and unable to get debts. Well, because of this, him and his family had to move to the poorer part of the neighborhood, which was referred to as Town Hill. Town Hill was the poor area of Massachusetts.
I don't think Boston has a poor area, but anyway.
We should ask Bill Burr.
Is that where he lives?
That's where he's from, yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Then at the age of 15, Fred dropped out of high school. And this is kind of where things start picking up for this guy. In 1937, at 16, Fred, like I said, ran away from home. And surprisingly, he wasn't dumb when he dropped out of school. He actually had a very well and very good IQ score. And it was even reported that he had a photographic memory, which he continued.
Eidetic memory.
What's it called?
I think it's called Eidetic memory, something like that.
That's
But
like the medical term?
yeah. I don't know what it's the term. I heard it before one time.
I never heard that. I just heard
photographic memory. But that's basically how he got by doing everything he did.
Yeah, he would read all of his transcript or whatever he needed to know about whatever the topic, and then move on from there.
Yeah, that's just scary.
That's real scary because everything that we're going to talk about, he based everything off of his photographic memory. Or what is it?
I'll think of the word. Eidetic.
Eideptic.
I don't know. Let's just stick with photographic.
Photographic's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
After running away, Fred joined a silent order of Trappist monks in Rhode Island. Now, a lot of the monasteries that he joined were all Catholic, from everything that I've read.
Right.
Fred stayed with the monks for about 2 years before gaining his hood, and then was forced out of the monastery at 18 years old. The hood, more commonly known to Catholics, is known as a cowl. A cowl is given to a monk at the time of making Solomon or a lifetime profession of what he will be doing for the rest of his life. So if anyone or even you are kind of trying to figure out what all of that is, he pretty much looks like the monk from Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
That's
or the San Diego Padres monk.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just like that. The only difference, though, is that he stood at about 6'2" and weighed up to 345 pounds.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
That's a big dude. Big dude. How are you going to be in a Great Depression and look like that?
Hey, he wasn't depressed. He was happy somehow.
Then in 1941, Fred decided to join the U.S. Army, and this is where his impersonations really took off. After enlisting with the Army as Private Damara, he was then found in a Catholic order. However, Fred didn't like the ranking system of the Army, so he decided to leave. But while he was in the Army, Fred met Anthony Ignolia, and he was unaware that he was going to be Fred's first victim.
Mark,
there you go.
Mark.
Fred was able to obtain Anthony's military documents complete with his name and social security number. So now Anthony, or Fred, went AWOL.
Side note.
The word AWOL, or absent without leave, is the abandonment of one's duty or post with no intention of returning.
After finding out what Fred had done, the real Anthony went to the military police and informed them of Fred's actions. And in doing so, a manhunt ensued, kind of. He was definitely on the run, and they were trying to find him for a very long time.
Yeah.
Fred joined 2 more monasteries after leaving the Army. The first was Abbey of Our Lady of Oh, this is going to be a hard one. Gethsemani. Gethsemani.
I'll take your word for it.
Gethsemani. It sounds not because the area where he went, it doesn't sound like it would be there. He was in Kentucky when he went there. Jet the Tsunami to me sounds like an Asian
Or
or
some sort of natural hurricane,
yeah. It doesn't sound anything like a monastery.
like a practice.
Yeah. After that, he then went to the New Melray Abbey in Iowa. This dude jumped around everywhere.
Yeah, he did a lot.
He did a lot before joining the U.S. Navy. Fred was able to pass the basic courses for the U.S. Navy. However, again, Fred obtained a little title now. So he went further than he did in the Army. He went from basic, what do they call it, private, to a hospital corpsman.
Yeah, no, he was on the ship.
Yeah, he was on.
He was out
He was
at
actually
sea.
on a big ship, and we're actually about to be getting there pretty soon. From here, Fred, although was again annoyed with how the ranking system went with the Navy, so he did what any rational person would do, and decided to leave. Except the way he decided to leave was commit suicide. According to according to records, he placed a note at the edge of the water, and then from there they figured, oh, he just jumped off of the wherever, and he killed himself. So no, I don't think anybody really just looked for him. They're just like, yeah, he just kind of went over.
They probably said, "Fuck, somebody else can eat his food now."
After this, acquiring yet another name, Dr. Robert Linton French, who was a decommissioned naval officer and a psychologist. Fred, now in Arkansas, at the new Sabico Abbey Monastery, and was looking for another career. So he already had the name, but now he's looking for another career as this person. After several applications under the false name, Fred, or Dr. French, found himself at Gannon College. Gannon College was in Pennsylvania. Given the title of Dean of the School of Philosophy by the administration, because of his whole hefty resume, being a psychologist,
It was his resume. It was the other guy.
The other guy. It was the real Dr.
Everything.
French.
Yeah. And he learned everything by just reading them files.
And just catapulted right up as Dean of Philosophy, Dean of Psychology.
Damn,
crazy, right?
That's scary. Yeah.
There's people out there that actually do that.
Well, I'm sure 99% of the doctors are legit, but that's that 1%.
How many people do you think now are actually doing something like that?
You know what? They probably don't. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I know personally that there's some doctors that we've come across with all our stuff we've gone through that shouldn't even be receptionists as far as I'm concerned. but yeah, I don't know unless.
I mean, think about it. We talked about the last episode too. The U.S. is ran like we talked about, is ran by a con man, correct?
Yeah.
So how easy is that for a president to be a con man, for anybody else to be a doctor, a nurse, a psychologist, a judge, a cop, whatever? How easy would it be for all of them people?
See, the con man you're referring to has a lot of deep pockets, and he probably has a lot of big secrets on people, and
True.
A lot of people who helped him become what he is today probably
fear him.
I wouldn't say they were blackmailed, but they were definitely influenced on letting him have his way for a little bit, and that's where we're at right now with that clown. But as far as just being a regular con man like Fred, he's in a different ballpark. He's in a whole different game. Fred, it almost seemed like Fred was doing it because he was bored.
Yeah.
He was bored. Oh, I don't want to work on people's subconscious minds, or, oh, I don't want to cut anybody open anymore, or, oh, I don't want to be able, pull my firearm or shoot somebody or arrest somebody, or if I falsify these documents, that building will still hold up okay. He just got bored of shit. Well, I wouldn't say he's a psychopath, but
I
definitely
would
a
say that,
narcissist.
absolutely.
He didn't kill nobody. I don't think his intentions
Luckily,
were
he
to
didn't kill nobody, but I wouldn't be.
That's my point. That's okay. You gotta realize that he knew enough to refrain himself from actually hurting anybody. I don't think he hurt anybody. Did you find anything in that? Because I looked.
No.
Nobody got hurt.
I don't find it. He actually,
Matter.
if anything, he saved people.
Yeah, like he did that surgery.
Yeah, well, hold on. We're getting there. Don't jump ahead yet.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, it's just crazy that the fact that he was able to get through all of this, and not only that, he did it at a time where, like, if someone were to, other than who we were just referring to, trying to do something like that nowadays with technology, whether it's a phone, a laptop, or an iPad or whatever, facial recognition software, he did this at a time where none of this even existed. Everybody was still writing letters.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't even have landlines there. They had that crank phone.
Yeah.
Or the radio, that two-way ham radio. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Titanic radio.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. That kind of makes him a lot more, much more of a fierce, I guess, person in regards to being that much of a good con man. He had no references other than what he read.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's hella scary.
He couldn't call anybody. Hey, I got this guy cut open right now.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Hey, let me hop on Zoom real quick so I can FaceTime my doctor over in New York.
Yeah.
While here, Fred taught courses as well. He taught general psychology, industrial psychology, and abnormal psychology. He also published a well-received booklet, How to Bring Up Your Child. So not only did he become a dean of psychology and taught psychology classes, he even wrote a book on psychology about how you can basically raise your child. Also, to my recollection, he didn't have any kids.
Yeah, I didn't see anything like that either. Yeah, when I finally started looking up who we were actually talking about, I didn't see
Nothing.
He had any siblings, especially when he passed. Yeah.
Nothing. And I wrote this down because I wasn't actually 100% sure, but isn't lying a sin? Isn't that one of the 10 what's it called?
One of the deadliest sins, or 7 deadly sins. It's
right?
Against sacrament. Thou shalt not lie. It's not in the commandments. You thinking in the commandments?
Yeah, is that what it's in?
I don't know. I don't know all the commandments.
It popped in my head when I was doing all this research, and
He probably had no empathy about anything.
But that's the other crazy thing too. This guy's a Catholic, and clearly he's a hardcore Catholic, jumping around from monastery to monastery.
That don't make him any better than anybody else. It's just that he, God, I gotta watch what I say when it comes to that. He just knew a lot different, and he could probably tell a better lie because, well, the only way I can put it is he knew what his limitations were. A liar who's just thinking up a lie, that's a chronic liar.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew exactly what he can say and tell people, resume or interview, and he knew his limitations. If he was going to be a priest or studied in the priesthood, I'm not calling him a liar, but he's learning something that most people don't know. Your average person isn't going to study that literature. So a lot of people are going to take his word for it. His word is 100%. So his translation. So he took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Let me put this cloak on, or this bonnet, or whatever you call it, and let me see how many flock I can have. So
that's abusing the power to the fullest. Yeah.
he just took advantage. But like I said, that's no different than, a
Playing the
normal
system.
person is not going to study any deep literature regards to religion,
Mm-hmm.
politics, um, anything. That's why they're so taboo, because everybody has their own opinion about it. And the normal person like me and you and probably 50% of the world, either going to fall for it or not. So that's why I choose to start reading these own books that I've talked to you about. And,
Yeah.
if I'm going to believe anybody's bullshit, I'm going to believe mine. That simple.
That's
Whatever I
that.
see fit the translation is, then I'm going to go with that. I can't accept the word of a stranger. And that's
It's
what he
hard.
had a lot. He had a lot of strangers believing him.
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still just it's kind of baffling to me that somehow people are still able to get around life today, lying and doing stuff like that, just deceiving to a big degree and able to get through life. You know what I mean?
It's not that difficult, Jim. It's no different than calling somebody a hustler. It's no different than calling somebody, well, the word is con artist. There's no different than calling anybody, hell, someone who's high ranking in some sort of religious following.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any difference. Politicians, we all know they lie.
They lie a lot.
So, yeah. So, one thing somebody's always told me, oh, it's all about money. It's all about, I kind of refuse to think, no, what about money? How's it always about money? And now, like recently, it's like, man, maybe it is really about money. Where are we going with this whole crash this year?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. But anyway, back to Ferdinand. Go ahead.
Then in 1945, Fred was caught by the U.S. Army and the FBI for going AWOL. So he was on the run for about 4 years. 4 years he was on the run. Fred was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but due to good behavior, he only served 18 months. Then in 1950, Dr. French, or Fred, began teaching at the Brothers of Catholic Instruction. I think I miswrote that. Where he presented himself as a zoologist. Where he got this information, I have no idea. I looked hard as hell. Yeah, I don't know where he found it. He just walked up and was like, yeah, I know stuff about animals.
I mean, did they have the study of animals back then?
I have no idea. I didn't look that far into it.
Even Jane Goodall ain't that old.
And she only focused on one group of animals.
I know, but my point is age. She's not that old.
Yeah.
She wasn't in the turn of the century or that century, not 2020 or 2000.
And while attending BCI, the fake Dr. French met and befriended a real doctor from Canada, Dr. Joseph Sri, S-Y-R. Sri? Sri. No. Sire.
Dr. S.
S.
Could be Dr. Sai.
Let's say Sai. Dr. Sai.
Yeah.
Joseph Sai, who happened to be moving to the U.S. to set up his own practice. And like the good Catholic that Fred was, he offered to help his newfound friend with his immigration paperwork. Again, acquiring these papers.
Would he marry him?
No, it was just all of his immigration paperwork.
Yeah, but for who?
For
Fred took the doctor's paperwork?
Mm-hmm. Fred, Dr. French, took a real doctor, Joseph Schreier, S-Y-R. I don't know why it's hard to pronounce his last name. Dr. Joe. There we go. We'll just call him Dr. Joe.
Easy.
Fred took Dr. Joe's immigration paperwork, to help Dr. Joe move to the U.S. to create his own practice. When Fred approached the approached Dr. Joe. He said, make sure you have everything with you. I want to be sure to help you out and get everything processed so you can go over there without a hitch. Instead, what Dr. Fred did is he took all of his paperwork, turned around and went straight up to Canada, and then became Dr. Joe.
Oh, in Canada.
In
Not
Canada,
here in the States.
not here in the
Oh,
States.
okay.
So he then fled the U.S. after he went AWOL as Anthony Ignolia, became Dr. French in the U.S., and now he's Dr. Joe over in Canada.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now in Canada, Fred approached the Canadian Navy with his newly found identity and approached them with a trained doctor's mentality. With again that resume that he was able to get, those credentials, his application was pushed up to the top, and he was now serving on the Canadian tribal class destroyer, the HMS Cayuga.
Side note.
The naval ship HMCS Cayuga was in service for over 20 years and even saw action in the Korean War.
That's in their Navy.
In their Navy, the Royal Canadian Navy. Again, how far do you think can someone get by lying? Like, a lot of the times people lie, and you can tell when they're lying. But I think if they're a narcissist, it's kind of hard to tell because that's who they believe that they are.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a funny question because what's the purpose of their lying? What do they have to gain from it? This guy just did it just to become somebody else. It's not like he became rich off of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he did make some money, not a whole lot, but he did make some money.
So he lived. He was able to eat every day, probably sustain a livelihood. But
he definitely ate.
But if you got a guy who's lying to do one certain thing for the continuance of his life, well, he's going to learn something by lying. He's going to learn. He's going to eventually learn what is correct.
What he has to do.
Yeah. So I don't know what he gained. I think it was just more of a challenge, more of a high risk challenge for him to see if he can portray anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fun to me. I just don't know if I would have been able to do half the stuff he did. I mean, a lot of it was pretty intense, especially that one surgery.
Which is actually what we're going to be getting to next. By the way,
go ahead.
What shirt is that?
It's Stormtrooper. It's actually a Storm Pooper.
Yeah, I see it.
From Alaska.
It's an AT-AT.
Yeah.
That's hella cool.
It says Alaska Storm Pooper, and he's shitting out gold.
That's funny. So now, after months of being on the Cayuga and treating wounds, Fred was then promoted to Naval Surgeon Lieutenant. So he's a pretty high ranking now.
Yeah.
With Fred's already uncontrollable ego, it grew even bigger with that rank. And from this, his success of being a doctor on the naval ship grew. One of his pronounced surgical practices, his most pronounced surgical practices or procedures were performed with major chest surgery on approximately 16 Korean combat casualties and successfully amputating a Korean guerrilla's foot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lying about something is one thing, but then once you cut this body open, he totally adapted to that. He totally became that doctor. The doctor is, probably who he's impersonating is probably the only one who's ever seen the amount of
the real amount.
Yeah. And
even even where I work, and again, I'm not going to name where I work at, but the cadavers that they have there.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't realize how many people are actually like organ donors or just donors in general.
Yeah.
I mean, there are literal, I'd say 30-foot ceilings and
Full
there
of
are
people
racks of people.
that are there.
Yeah.
Wow. Guess we better stop eating at McDonald's.
You better stop eating that shit real quick.
No, but that's my point. It's exactly what it's a good point. There's people that are immune to that. They look forward to that. This guy didn't prepare himself with any schooling other than whatever he saw in a book, and he was able to perform that. That might be talent, skill,
That kind
ignorance.
You know what that actually reminds me of, and I'm not sure if this is off topic or not, but it reminds me of that movie with Jonah Hill. When they create that college all for themselves,
Oh,
what was it called?
Southampton Institute of Technology. Shit.
Yeah.
Accepted.
Accepted. That's right. But that's what they did. They knew what they were doing, so they taught other people how to do it based off of what they knew.
They understood the rules and the guidelines, and they made the adjustments to become a acceptable college, an institution. That's just like old school. Will Ferrell. They became a frat house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and old
Going
Blue.
streaking. Going streaking down to the quarry.
Honey, can we get some Kentucky Fried Chicken?
That fucking movie is funny.
Oh, I love that movie. Like I said, Will Ferrell's
He's a nut.
Yeah.
So after cutting off the Korean gorilla's foot, in the midst of preparation for his surgeries, any of them and all of them, most of them, Fred had enough time to, like we talked about, ran back to his corridors or his dorm room and used that good old handy dandy memory of his to read up on how to do these surgeries. So he'd just do a quick once over and be like, all right, got it.
Yeah, no. But still, he had to cut everything. He had to cut through all the skin, the layers of skin, the muscle, crack the chest, all that. And then he did it in reverse. 60 times, you said?
Can you imagine?
I thought he only did it once.
No, he did 16, 1-6. 16. I mean, that's still a lot.
Yeah.
But can you imagine, speaking of surgeries, because you had your heart surgery, open heart surgery at 34, 35, 38. Can you imagine if that doctor who cut you open was just a random guy?
Okay, well, the doctor who did the surgery, he talked like a random guy.
No way.
Yeah, he was actually pretty cool. He was when I first met him, he came in with a ball cap, just like this one, backwards, and it scrubs, right? And I was like, and like you said, I looked at him, I was like, there's no way this dude's gonna do it. Mind you, the cardiologist I had, he was 5'2".
Damn.
He was a short dude, obviously sharp as a tack, very intelligent, and he's a cardiologist.
Was he in there when you had surgery?
Not for the surgery. The heart surgeon was separate, and then he had his team. But I won't say his name, and I don't want to say his name. The heart surgeon, he was strict and to the point. I mean, once he told me what he was going to do, all right, Mr. Salinas, this is what we're going to do. We're going to prep you. We're going to clean you up. We're going to shave you, scrub you down. This is the first thing to do is I'm going to cut through your chest, and then I'm going to split you down the middle, and then I'm going to open you apart with these things. I don't know what it was called technically, but
it's the things that they go like this.
Then I'm going to pull your heart out, and then once we do that, I'm going to actually, when I switch everything over and I put you on a ventilator, you're going to be dead for a couple of minutes. When he said that, I was like, this motherfucker better not be lying. Better bring me back to life. And he said, we're going to pull your heart out. We're going to set it aside. And this is exactly what he said. We're going to pull your heart out, set it on top of your chest on the outside of your cavity, work on the aorta, put the new one on, put you all back together. So we're going to stop your heart for a couple of minutes.
I didn't know that they did that.
Yeah. And like I said, he came in with a ball cap, and then right after surgery, he came into my room, and I remember sitting in the room, and this was right after ICU. I was up in one of the floors, and I'm sitting there, and it was Father's Day. So I'm sitting in there, and he comes bursting in the room. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Jim?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? What are we buddies now?" And then he grabbed the remote because I didn't have the TV on it. So he grabbed the remote and he put it on golfing. It was Tiger Woods was a big deal again back then, or Phil Nichols. Uh, so he's like, "You're not watching golf?" I'm like, "Nah, but go ahead, turn shit on." So he said it, and then we talked. Well, he talked about golf, and I'm just looking at him. He didn't come off as a doctor. Is the question kind of asked? What if this doctor didn't look like? He didn't look like a heart surgeon. He didn't look like what he was gonna do.
How old was he, or how old did he look?
He was probably my age at the time, 30s. Yeah. He was a youngster, yeah.
That freaks me out.
Golf.
Because it's crazy how people want to get into a profession like that, whether it's surgery of any sort, brain surgery, heart surgery, a surgeon in general. But there's times where I've been walking through a hallway, and like I said before, the cadavers, there's students, because it's a learning hospital, but there's students working on cadaver heads.
They're decapitated?
Oh yeah, cleaned. I mean, it looked like someone should have gotten a freaking, what's it called, the high powered laser thing that Jessica Biel has in Blade Trinity.
Oh, that
laser, it looks like that, just
looks like
right through. Yeah. Dude, I mean, and they're just sitting there, just picking away, doing whatever they're doing, and I've stopped a few times, and I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, and they thrive. They want to have that power. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody who goes through that much work to become something, they want some sort of control. They want some sort of power over the next person. But anyway, back to Ferdinand.
Sorry.
That's all
back
right.
to Ferdinand.
Yeah.
No one died during any of his surgeries. Not one person. Not during any of the chest surgeries, extracting a bullet out of someone's chest, not removing someone's foot, not cutting someone open. Nobody died, which still to me is fucking nuts. Fred's surgeries were actually so good, he was featured in a Canadian newspaper. However, he was featured in the newspaper as Dr. Joe. Now, the real crazy and the caveat on that is the real Dr. Joe was actually in Grand Falls, New Brunswick. That's a province in Canada, where he was actually practicing medicine because he couldn't leave Canada with his immigration paperwork.
So the whole time he didn't know this imposter was living in Canada with him?
Not a clue.
Damn. Dude is good.
The one person who caught him, though, was the real Dr. Doe's. What the hell's a Dr. Doe? The real Dr. Joe's mom caught him.
Really?
She was reading the article that he was featured in. She ended up calling over to Dr. Joe and was like, "Hey, son, congratulations on all these surgeries, and damn, you saved all these people." And it's like, "What are you talking about, Mom? I'm over in Grand Falls." Well, since you're on the Cayuga, Mom, I've been over here for the last year and a half. So with that being said, the real doctor then informed the Canadian Army, and when questioned, Fred unflinchingly assured his captain that he was the real Dr. Joe. Because who else can pull off 16 major surgeries, including an amputation, and be a fraud?
He was cool. I guess it was easy to convince somebody if he's not there shaking in his pants or sweating. Hell, I wouldn't see any other reason why not to believe him. If he looked me dead in my face and be like, "Well, this is what I've done, soldier.
Yeah.
How can I be this imposter?" Who am I to not believe the guy?
I have no idea. I don't know. It's still kind of crazy to me that he was able to go so far. And in spite of Fred,
con man, dude, he was just good. That's that intelligence. You know what? He probably had a big IQ. He might have even been a little what we call like that.
Special.
Well, yeah, there's that one program that's on TV. Freddie Highmore's a doctor, but he's high on the autism spectrum. The Good Doctor?
The
Is
Good
that what it's
Doctor.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy that played Norman Bates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Highmore, yeah. And he's like a stone face. He just looks at the body like he scans it like a computer, and he's telling people what to do. Probably no different than what Ferdinandus did.
I don't know because I don't know because the way that he speaks doesn't seem like he's an intelligent person at all. And I have a clip of him speaking too, which will
He sounds like a country bumpkin.
that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, I know. I saw a clip of him.
It's probably the same one then.
I don't know.
In spite of Fred stealing someone's identity, Fred received a slap on the wrist before being turned over to the U.S. Immigration Office in Washington State. The reason why he got a slap on the wrist is because in the U.S., Fred had no warrants out for his arrest. So they couldn't really do anything with him other than ask him a couple of routine questions and then send him on his way.
Yeah.
But there was an intermission for the time. In 1950, where am I at? 1956, Fred was released from his duties, and he ended up in Texas. So went from Canada, from extremely cold, down to Texas, where it's humid and hot. He ended up in, where did he end up at? Houston, Texas.
God, that is humid.
Hella humid.
Yeah.
Searching a help wanted ad in the Houston Chronicle, Fred found his new job. This new job was a corrections officer at Wind Farm.
The Wind Farm is the second oldest prison in Texas, where 3 men attempted to escape between the years 2000 to 2008, one of which escaped the prison using a child's bicycle, but was taken back into custody less than 24 hours later.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Still crazy. Fred I'm getting tongue twisted. Fred was required to provide at least 3 previous employees and 8 references. It probably would have been harder for someone to ask him for milk and cookies.
Yeah. He had all that. He probably knew it by heart.
By heart.
Yeah.
And with that, he ended up moving to Huntsville, Texas, where Wind Farm was at, where he became known as Ben Jones. Ben Jones was not a person, as far as I read. It was just a name that he thought of.
Well, he got by.
Got by real good.
Yeah.
Because Ben Jones,
That's the name of him imposing as the corrections officer.
As a corrections officer, yep.
Okay, Ben Jones.
Ben Jones, Fred, now Ben Jones, actually did really good as a correction officer, just as he did as a surgeon. Again, playing the cards very well. While at Wind Farm, Fred had stopped a physical altercation between 2 inmates, all without having to use any type of force. Whether it was a baton, a fist, or anything like that, he just was able to verbally calm someone down.
That's what I'm saying. He was gifted.
Crazy.
He had a talent, man. He had no fear.
That's the scary part, is that he didn't have fear.
Yeah. Had no fear.
Eventually, Fred was able to transfer out from Wayne Farm to a maximum security prison. Once at his new job, Ward went around about him stopping an altercation without the use of force, and the GM, the general manager of the correctional facility, promoted him to warden.
What was he, like the Shawshank Redemption warden?
I think so.
Ripping people off.
Probably. But that's crazy though, because he got promoted. I think it said that he was only there for 6 months at the Max facility,
Well, if he used all them credentials of all the stuff you just spoke of, I mean, he was a highly intelligent man. Why would he get promoted, especially somewhere in Texas in the 1930s,
50s.
50s? Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, that's right before the civil rights movement. Or
Mhm.
yeah, 1960 something, right?
60 or just say, yeah, that was the start of a lot of things to change.
That's still crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's still, this whole thing is very baffling. But like most of Fred's personas, it all had to come to an end. An inmate who was reading an old copy of Life magazine noticed Warden Jones was on the cover. And on the cover, it read, "The Great Impostor." So,
Oh, he was
if
already being
if you're
identified.
a little confused, back in 1949, right? So right before all of this happened, Life magazine approached him after they caught wind of the
Oh,
surgeries.
surgeon. Yeah.
So they came
The
and spoke.
yeah.
Yeah, they came and spoke to him, and they were like, "Hey, man, we heard that you were able to cut off some people's foot and be someone else." He gave them the whole layout, told them everything.
Yeah.
But again, not like it is, nowadays. It was all on paper. The magazines were on magazines. So if whatever state you were in or city you were in didn't have Life magazine, you didn't know about this at all.
Yeah. Just got the local Star or the
Right.
local Gazette. Yeah.
Exactly. So finally, having no choice but to be himself again, Fred became Fred. He ended up quitting as a warden, stopped impersonating for a very long time. Actually, from what I read from this point on, is when he stopped impersonating people. Fred
He didn't do it
received
again?
for a while.
Oh, okay.
But Fred received rewards, money, and notoriety, but all while being other people. So a lot of times, other than him being in the Life magazine, everything else was under other people.
Yeah.
16, 17 major surgeries, a warden that's able to de-escalate situations,
A soldier?
a soldier, a monk, a zoologist. All of this was under people, but he still took it upon himself to be like, yeah, this is what I did.
Well, he told the truth.
True. Now, this is the clip, so I'm going to play it from my phone. It might be a little bit difficult, but we are going to try this. In 1959, Fred was featured on a game show as himself, Ferdinand Demara Jr., on a show called You Bet Your Life.
Groucho Marx.
Exactly. Yeah, look at that.
Marx
Ready?
Brothers.
Yeah.
Are you interested in what's been going on here? It's been charming, yes. It is. Mm-hmm. Fred, how did you get started in this kind of a career? When you were born, did you impersonate the doctor and sing your old man a bill?
A number of years ago, Groucho, I acquired some credentials. And
How did you get these?
I acquired them.
Is this a euphemism for stealing them?
Oh, no. I
What do you mean by acquire?
obtain.
Obtain. Let's see. Do you have another word for it that would make it more baffling?
Borrow.
Borrow, yes. Well, you borrowed these credentials, and then what happened?
I got myself an appointment as dean of a college in Pennsylvania. Dean of a
You
college.
became a melancholy dean of a college?
That's right.
If you were good enough to be a dean, why didn't you get the job under your own name?
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But
That's a good point. I'm sure he was intelligent enough to do that.
yeah, and
If he was able.
I think
Go ahead.
what really screwed him up, as far as him doing whatever it is that he wanted to do, which he clearly could do,
Mhm.
is the Great Depression. By the time he was 15. His dad, like I said, who was a movie camera operator, lost all of their money. I mean,
Yeah.
if he was still that kid, he probably would have done a lot of different things, just as he did here. But I think him being poor and, having to live that life, I think that's what
Yeah.
kind of catapulted him.
Well, he had to learn how to hustle somehow. He
Yeah.
was probably living a very privileged life. And when he figured that was all gone, it was either sink or swim. When he did all that, did he do anything to help his parents out still? Or are they still living in
Not
depression?
everything that I saw is he ran away and just said peace to everyone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad, but
It's real
he
sad.
has no conscience. No conscience.
It's really messed up. But the one thing that I like very much is the fact that Groucho was like, so did you impersonate your father when you were born to sign the paperwork?
Yeah. Groucho Marx was great.
Yeah. Then in 1960, a film adaptation of the New York bestseller, The Great Impostor, so the movie that you were talking about,
Yeah.
was created and was loosely based off of his life. The movie started Tony Curtis, as you said, and was released the following year. In 1966, after receiving his certificate from the Muchalem School of the Bible in Portland, Oregon, again, like I said, he's bouncing around everywhere. Fred gained his first ministerial assignment as a pastor. Here's another crazy thing, right? So he was able to become a pastor, was not pretending to be anybody else for almost 20 some odd years. In 1980, okay, you're going to know the name very well. I'm sure most people who are movie buffs will. Fred even provided the last rites to one actor. This actor died famously, I believe, in LA or in San Francisco during the filming of one of his movies, Silver Bullet.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
Yep.
He provided the last rites to Steve McQueen.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. So basically, he just that's kind of screwed up. He lied to him. He didn't provide any relief,
No.
any comfort.
Nothing. Dude's a fucking liar.
That's kind of sad.
It is sad. And all good things, however you want to call it, all good things must come to an end. Fred kept his title as pastor before working as a chaplain at the Good Samaritan Hospital in Orange County. So I believe it was LA where Steve McQueen died, right? That's where he was filming the movie.
Yeah. Silver Bullet, yeah, I guess so.
So in Orange County,
California.
Orange County, Fred is now a chaplain at the Good Sam Hospital. Now a much older man, and like much people, Fred's health began to deteriorate. By this time, Fred was severely and morbidly obese. I'm laughing because I put both of those just to make it sound like he was really big. Severely morbidly
large.
Obese. He was a big man. He was a big guy. He even had both of his legs amputated due to diabetes, and I'm pretty sure he was the one to cut them off himself. Yeah,
he might have. hey, honey, give me that knife.
Let me just cauterize it. Both of them. Well, I mean, shit, the guy was already big as it is.
Well, them and their diabetic studies weren't even a lot back then, so yeah.
Not like it is now.
No.
Then on June 7th, 1982, 2 years after providing the last rites to Steve McQueen due to heart failure, and there's kind of a trend going on too. Miss Unsinkable from my Pod Nuggets, she died from heart failure. Olive Oatman, she died from heart failure. Ferdinand DeMara, her brother, Ferdinand DeMara Jr., also known as the Great Impostor, at age 60, died of heart failure. At this time, and during this time, I'm very sure medical staff made sure that he was actually dead, so he can impersonate anybody else.
Yeah.
Just before his death, though, someone came to him and asked, over the years, what was your main motivation? What made you even want to become other people? His answer, very blatantly and to the point, was rascality, pure rascality. Basically, what that means, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary,
Uh,
rascality, a mischievous or dishonest behavior or activity.
well, I mean, like I said, he got away with it. Why not? Nobody. He didn't have any limits. He didn't
None.
have any limits, and nobody questioned him. So why wouldn't you just go for it all? He knew he can get away with it.
But again, that's only because he was able to get away with it at that time.
That's still a
I
rush.
don't
Is a
I
rush.
don't think anybody would be able to do exactly what he did at a time like
Oh
this. No way.
no! What? Like proving your identity, encryption, optical fingerprints. Yeah,
All
blood
that.
type.
None of that.
It's hard to get away with stuff nowadays. You got to be really good. But then who wants to be a criminal?
A lot of
Not like this
people.
guy. Well, like this guy.
There's
Everything
criminals
he
on
did.
my Facebook. My Facebook just got. I had to delete my Facebook that I just created because it got hacked.
Why?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I was doing.
What I'm saying, everything this guy, everybody that he imposed, he impostered. I mean, those are. I mean, you got to realize, one of them soldiers would have died. That's a civil lawsuit against him.
Yeah.
Criminal lawsuit and a civil lawsuit against the Navy or the Army or whoever it was at.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in jail. It's a civil lawsuit against the state, criminal lawsuit against him. Those are all felonies all the way around. If he would have failed doing any of what he lied about, anybody nowadays would be in jail for any one of those. Any one of those would be a felon.
That's still just crazy.
Well, times have changed a lot.
Yeah.
People have, yeah. So anyway, why did they hack your shit?
I don't know. I have no idea.
How do you know it was hacked?
Because I was downstairs doing jujitsu with the baby, and Elisa was like, "Hey man, what's this product that you're posting about?" I was like, "What?" So yeah, you posted something an hour ago. At the time, it was like 5:00. I was like, an hour ago we were in Costco, so I have no idea what you're talking about. And she's like, yeah, you tagged me and 19 other people, and then your mom and 19 other people, and then randomly Jason from Arizona and 21 other people. I'm like,
What was the product?
I don't know, but it said click this link and da da da. There are 3 separate posts, not only on Facebook, like as a status update or whatever it's called, but also on the story, like on Instagram. So then I went to Instagram, but there's nothing on Instagram. It was just on Facebook. So I was like, okay,
it was Ferdinand.
It was probably Ferdinand fucking trying to beat me.
He came through the airwaves for telling his story.
Well, that's it though. That's all for Ferdinand. That's all I got for him. That's be you, homeboy.
Yeah. But that's just it. He doesn't know who he is. He died unknowing.
Yeah, that's the sad part too.
Yeah, he died an uncomfortable person.
He died trying to be somebody else because he wasn't comfortable with who he is.
Yep, but I still don't see. I mean, it's not like he did it for monetary gains. He didn't get rich off of it, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be mischievous because he knew that he could do it.
Well, hey. Like I said, at least he didn't hurt nobody, kill anybody. Makes a great story, obviously.
Yeah. This next story, though, this next one, I'm really excited about.
What's it about? Who is it about?
This one, you might even know, was in the 1970s, mid-1970s. in San Francisco. Well, the way I just set that up was not good because it was based in the Castro district. So me saying you might know may imply something.
Yeah, I don't know.
The next episode,
Those stories aren't true.
we are gonna dive into.
Hang on, let me turn the light on. Hang on.
Okay, go ahead. Shit, almost fell. Oh, there you go. I can see you now.
Go ahead.
So the next episode, we're gonna dive back into what kind of got me started on this podcast, and that's true crime. We're probably gonna stick with true crime for the next couple episodes.
Okay.
This man is known as the Doodler. What's he suspected of? He's suspected of killing 16 gay men. It's reported that he killed up to 16 gay men.
That sounds like a French tickler.
I don't know. But there's a reason why they call him the Doodler, is because he was able to draw or lure his victims in by sketching them before killing them. As I said before, this happened in the mid-1970s for 1 year only. This happened in the Castro district of San Francisco. And to this day, no one knows who he is, where he is, or what happened to him.
Oh, he hasn't been caught. Wow. So they're all cold cases?
Every last one. Although, wait till next week when I tell you exactly how something may have changed due to a recent major story that broke airways, I think, last year.
The Golden State Killer.
I don't know. Maybe. Could be that.
DNA is gonna fuck up a lot of people. That's great though. No, go ahead. That's cool. I never heard of this one.
Yeah. So don't read up on him. I'm going to tell you about him, and you're going to learn everything. It's a wild fucking story.
So you want me to go cold, huh?
Oh yeah. Nothing.
Okay.
Don't know nothing.
The Doodler.
The Doodler.
All right.
Also known as the Black Doodler, because he was a African American male.
How do they know? If they never caught him.
There are three. I'm already giving away too much.
All right. I'll try not to look. Can't promise. I get bored. But yeah, that's no problem. That'll be fun. And the next three you said cold case?
Yeah, where the next three were I'm thinking about doing some true crime stuff. Actually, one of the three, thanks to before my Instagram or my Facebook got hacked, votes came through, and one of the episodes that we'll be doing is the North Hollywood shootout.
North Hollywood shootout. Oh, the dudes who were walking through the street.
Yeah.
Oh, those dudes, the Russian guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
still don't know why that was. What started that? Oh, we'll get into that. I guess
we'll find out.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be tight.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm down.
All right, stop recording. That's it. That's the episode. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It was pretty interesting researching this guy and even talking about him. Thank you to our sponsor, Anchor, for sponsoring this podcast. Really, really thank you. This is it's a wonderful thing for someone to be able to put some information out there, especially in crazy times like this during the whole coronavirus. And some people need a little something to get their day by, and me talking about interesting stuff, I hope is able to get people's day by even better. Also, some quick shout outs. Shout out to the Mask of Sanity podcast with Melanie Peterson. She covers everything within the realm of true crime. I highly recommend her podcast, and by the way, her updated cover art, kick ass. I really, really enjoy it. It reminds me of Phantom of the Opera and Slipknot-esque. It's actually pretty dope. I really, really like it. Also, quick shout out to the Magnetic Mismatch podcast hosted by Will and his wife, Linda. It's a couples podcast about how they get through their life after being with each other for 10 years, and they kind of, break it down to see if other couples can relate to what they've gone through, and their last episode I definitely related to a lot. It was about food and relationships. Highly recommend it. They're on Spotify. They're also on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. And so is Mask of Sanity. You can catch her on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a good one. Peace.